Welcome back to the Python tutorial series. I'm so glad you're here. Today we will learn how to create a calculator with a GUI. So let's get started. I created a file called calculator.py, and from Tkinter I imported everything, so import star. The first thing I'm going to do on the calculator is to create an expression. So what you'll see at the top, and by default that will be an empty string. I'm going to create a function called press whenever you press a number, so it's going to pass in one parameter num, and then I'll refer to the expression here, so I'll say global expression, so the function sees what's outside of the function and connects the two. And then I'll say expression is equal to expression plus the number, and I'm going to put that as a string. So expression plus equals string num. Then I'll say equation dot set, and then I'll pass in the expression. And we'll come back to what equation is later. Whenever they press the equal sign, I want to calculate. So I'll say def equal press, and it's not gonna have any parameters. Then I'm gonna try to do an equation. So I will reference expression again. Then I'll say total is equal to, and then I'm gonna want to display it as a string. And I'm gonna want to evaluate, and I'll evaluate the expression. So it will evaluate the expression and display the total as a string. So equation dot set total, and it will set expression equal to an empty string again because we're going to restart. If it produces an error, we want to have an exception, and so what it will display is error. So we'll say equation dot set and set this equal to error. So it will display error, and then we'll clear the expression. Finally, we want to have a button that clears the screen. So I'll create a function called clear, and it's not going to have any parameters. And I'll refer to expression again, and then I'll clear expression. So set that equal to an empty string, and then I'll do equation dot set and set this equal to an empty string as well. Now that we created our functions, I'm going to create the driver code. So the driver code is what operates this GUI. So I'll say if under underscore name under underscore is equal to main, and that main is in quotations and it's a double underscore as well. I'm going to create a GUI window, so I'll comment create GUI window. And in order to do that, I will set GUI equal to the function tk, and we imported this already, so open and close parentheses. And then I want to configure the GUI interface, so I'll do GUI.configure and set the background equal to yellow. I also want to have a title when I display the GUI, so I'll create a title called Python Calculator, since it is a Python calculator. And then finally, I'm going to set the geometry to be 350 pixels by 150. And then remember this equation that I referenced up here earlier? We're going to write it now. So I'll create a variable called equation and set this equal to string var, and string var is the variable class, so you can think of it as a class. So then I'm gonna create another variable called expression underscore field and set this equal to entry. So the first parameter will be the GUI, and then after that we're gonna have the text variable equal to the equation. So the text is the equation, so that's why we had it as a string up there. Now we want to set the grid for the expression field. So expression field.grid, So it's gonna be the white box at the top, like a normal calculator. And I'm gonna set column span equal to 4. And I'm gonna pad it so I pad X and set that equal to 70 pixels. Now if we scroll up, there's no underlines under equation.set since we have defined equation down here. Now let's set up the buttons. So I'll create a variable called button1 and set this equal to button, and it's gonna first parameter be the GUI, that's what it's on. Then the button is gonna have text, so I'll set the text equal to the number 1 since it is button 1. Then the color of the number will be equal to black. I'll also set BG equal to red. Finally, I need to press the button, which is press. So whenever the command of the button is pressed, and we can't normally pass in a parameter for a button, so what we do is create a lambda function, and we're going to press 1. Height of the button will be equal to 1, and the width will be 7. Then I want to place button 1 on a grid because all the buttons will be on a grid. So I'll set the row be equal to 2, so that's the third row, and the column equal to be 0, so that's the first column. Then I'll repeat button 1 for all the numbers. Now I have all the buttons, and the code for this is on GitHub, which is attached in the description below. And finally, we're going to want this to run, so we're going to call GUI.mainLoop. So this will run the GUI and all the code in it. So I'm going to save this now and run it. And here we have our calculator. So I can do anything with this. For example, 3 plus 2, and this will equal 5. If I press equals again, it will give me an error since I didn't do anything new. I can clear it, it will clear it, and I can do things like 9.7 divided by 6.1. And when I enter this, I get 1.59. So this is a basic Python calculator GUI, and this is how it works. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow along with this video series by subscribing and hitting the notification bell, or by clicking on the next video so that you can expand your knowledge about Python. And as always, I can't wait to see you next time.